Yes, like you heard, 24 days to the general election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is under scrutiny. Though INEC has reiterated its preparedness for the polls, some Nigerians have called to question the Commission's ability and willingness to conduct free and fair and, of course, credible elections.
Yeah, the latest of which comes from former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who says he has no confidence in INEC's integrity, competence, and ability to remain impartial. Also, 61 political parties are threatening to take INEC to court over the guidelines and regulations he released last week for the conduct of next month's polls. The parties are especially displeased by the decision of INEC to hold on to the use of incidence forms during the elections and simultaneous accreditation and voting throughout election day. All right, joining us from our Abuja studio is the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Rotimi Oyekomi. Rotimi, good morning. It's good to have you join us right now.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right. Now, just a few days ago, the INEC chairman came up to say that they have discovered new strategies by those who want to employ different measures for vote buying or to vote buying, as the case may be, especially when it comes to food vending system and all of that at the polls. Can you talk to us about that first? Let's start from there.
Well, the chairman of the commission led other members of the commission to the police headquarters, and where he made that statement that the commission has discovered other means by which some vote buyers will use to induce voters on election day by using food vendors. And he gave a warning that the commission is already aware of that plan, and we are taking adequate measures to make sure it doesn't succeed.
How did they plan to use the food vending system? Can you break it down so we can understand? So that Nigerians can also assist you, keep an eye when they see these things.
Well, you know, it's intelligence reports. It's just a hint. It's a tip of the iceberg. We are not going to divulge all the information that we have, but we are taking adequate measures to ensure that it doesn't succeed. And luckily, we have a new acting Inspector General of Police who has promised us that the police will cooperate fully with INEC to deal with anybody that plans or intends to engage in vote buying on election day.
All right, to the issue of that letter from former President Olusegun Obasanjo to President Buhari, he did raise quite a number of issues about INEC, and as to the fact that INEC right now, as it is constituted, is a compromised institution. Now, how do you respond to that, the issue that of INEC officials allegedly would be the ones actually handing over tokens, whether it's money or whatever it is, to compromise the outcome of the election?
Thank you very much. We read with interest the letter written by the former president, and we concede to the fact that he is entitled to his views. But if you check that essay that he wrote, he admitted that one of his friends told him about the efforts the commission has been making to ensure that elections are credible, free, and fair. But unfortunately, he chose not to believe his friend. And if you don't believe the friend, what are the reasons? The former president has access to INEC. If he had issues with certain things, he could have asked for clarification, and we would have been too happy to let him know what we are doing. But I want to make one thing very clear. All the allegations are made by the former president against INEC in that essay. They are not a true reflection of what today's INEC is. In today's INEC, nobody can rig elections. Nobody can jeopardize the plans that we have to ensure that we have free, fair, and credible 2019 general elections. Remember, we have been planning for this election since 2015. It's serious business. You need to see the measures we have put in place. And luckily for us, this commission is the first in the history of other commissions to conduct this high number of 195 off-season elections out of the context of general election. So it's like we have rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed all the things we need to do, put adequate measures in place, and we are good to go. We have the confidence that by the grace of God, this election will be successful.
Now, when you say you have measures put in place, it sounds almost vague. What concrete, steps would you be taking, or are you taking already, that you can actually put out there without jeopardizing your strategy? What can you really tell Nigerians to, give them confidence that this INEC is not compromised, it's totally above board?
Well, I will just refer to the election results that we've had in the last 3 years. Like I said, we have conducted about 195 different types of elections: by-elections, rerun elections, governorship elections. And the issue of litigation over our election result has fallen drastically. Take Ondo governorship election, for instance. Look at the contestants, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and all of that, nothing happened. Edo election, we conducted it, nothing happened. Most of other elections we have conducted, nothing has happened. And political parties that are accusing INEC of one thing or the other today, they've all been beneficiaries of credible elections. There is no politician in office today that the election that brought that person to office was not conducted by INEC. So I think that it is unhelpful for politicians to start casting aspersions on the credibility of the election management body. We are barely 3 weeks away from the D-Day. What we need now is cooperation. We are fine-tuning our processes, and we need to focus on real issues rather than this other trying to distract us from what we are doing and creating unnecessary fear and creating just fears that don't exist as far as we are concerned.
All right, there are reports in some quarters alleging that INEC is outsourcing or planning to outsource some of the ad hoc staff it plans to use. Can you talk to us about that, either to confirm or otherwise of that report?
The process of taking ad hoc staff or hiring ad hoc staff is well known. The first in line are members of the National Youth Service Corps. And of course, we use university teachers and federal workers where we have a shortfall. And that was why the INEC chairman led a team to meet with the ASU leadership that, well, we know you are on strike, but we have this election coming. And of course, the academic community has been quite helpful in helping INEC to conduct credible elections. And we told them to regard this election as a national service, as a call to duty, call to national service. And they gave us their word. And that's the thing. And we put up something on our website recently asking people to apply for ad hoc positions, but we also put the criteria there. So if you don't meet the criteria, there's no way you can come in. So those allegations that we are planning to outsource or take people from specific areas is not true. And interestingly, we hold regular stakeholders meeting with political parties where we discuss all issues. And this issue has never been raised. If they ask us, they are free to come to INEC to ask us questions, and we'll tell them exactly what we are doing.
All right, so you do have a public enlightenment budget over 700 million naira or so, if I'm correct. And of course, in that letter, former president also commended the federal government for funding INEC adequately. And so there shouldn't be any excuse on the part of INEC that it did not have the funds to execute certain projects, including public enlightenment. How much of that really is going on now, considering the fact that the elections are right around the corner, 24 days to the election?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Your voice is breaking here.
Okay, the issue of funding, it's been taken care of by the federal government. INEC does have the funds it needs to execute all the projects to ensure that this election comes and goes very well. On the issue of public enlightenment, how much of it really are you doing with the 700 or so million naira that you have?
Well, it is true. The budget, the money we require for the election has been given to us. And we have stepped up public enlightenment. We didn't even have to wait for the money. If you check, I think today INEC is more visible on social media and in the public space than any other government establishment or public institution, because we know exactly what it is to conduct election, and we know what it takes to educate the people and to enlighten people about what to do. And we're not doing this in one language. We are all over the place. We are reaching out to people in different indigenous languages. Remember, we have about 250 different languages in this country, and you cannot just say that everybody speaks the English language. We are also working with civil society organizations, with religious leaders, because Nigerians are very religious, and working with religious leaders, we have covered a lot of mileage in our activities. And we also reach out to interest groups, including those with disabilities, and we listen to them, and whatever they tell us to do on how to reach out to their members, we do. So it's something so vast. This is a very huge country, and we cannot do it alone. And we also thank the media. The media has been of immense assistance to us, but we'll continue to do our best.
All right. About over 60 political parties are threatening to sue ASU over some areas they feel INEC. We just talked about ASU, so it's coming into my mouth. But some political parties are planning or threatening to sue INEC over areas they feel uncomfortable with, especially when it comes to the issue of incidences and all of that. Can you talk to us about those?
About what? I'm sorry, I'm not getting...
Hello,
about the incidents form.
Incidents form. Some political parties...
Oh, the incident form.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right. We have said it before, and we have said it again and again, that we are not using incident form. In this election, every voter must come with his or her permanent voter's card. And every voter must go through be authenticated and confirmed by the smart card reader. The use of smart card reader is compulsory, and you must bring your permanent voter's card. What we said was that in the authentication process, when your card has been identified as an original PVC issued by INEC, and the details that pop up in the smart card reader corresponds with what is in the voters register, the National Register of Voters. And in the process of biometrics, for instance, if there are issues which we think will be very minimal, maybe 0 point something in all the things that we're going to do, then we will allow the person to vote based on those facts that we have. It's like we have 3 parameters. You score 2 over 3. First, you're on the voter register. Secondly, you have your PVC. But in the process of biometrics, maybe there are 1 or 2 technical hitches. Then there's a provision in the register of voters where you can thumbprint, and then you supply your phone number. But like I said, it's not something that we expect to be on a large scale. We have enhanced all our smart card readers. We have purchased quite a number, and we are looking at all the issues concerned with the smart card readers. Our election will be conducted according to those parameters. So I think political parties don't need to be afraid. We have told them this, and we have, taken them through the process. I think if they are saying now that they are afraid that we are going to allow people to vote, people are not on the register, that's not possible. INEC is not going to do that.
And speaking of which, the former president also made some recommendations as to how INEC can ensure a watertight electoral process and voting process when the election days come. The issue of ID cards, are you looking at some of the recommendations that he made? Are you making any sense of it?
Are you talking about the IDP camps?
No. ID cards for PVC holders, and of course,
for INEC staff. I'm sorry, I'm having some trouble hearing you very well. We have been conducting elections since 1999, and we know how to identify our staff. In every polling unit, for instance, we expect like between 3 and 5 INEC staff, the ad hoc staff and all of that. And then we have the security people. Everybody will have an identification. It is impossible for you to come and be part of the election officials when you are not part of the election officials. How are you going to do that? So we have our means of identification and we have our processes. And don't forget, we are also involving other people. You will have security agents around. So if there's anybody that is trying to infiltrate or trying to cause any problem, we'll just refer those individuals to the security agencies around, and they will take care of it.
And how do you ensure that the INEC staff, the staff that you're going to be deploying or employing, don't have any kind of party affiliation? Because that was an issue that was raised. How watertight is your investigation background checks to be sure that these people truly are neutral?
Thank you very much. That's why, you know, in taking ad hoc staff, we have our parameters. For instance, the university teachers we are taking, or workers we are taking from the universities, they have to be recommended by the head of such institutions. Universities, for instance, everybody must be recommended by the vice chancellor. In federal polytechnics, it is the rector. In federal college of education, the provost. So we have that parameter through which we take these people. And we also tell this head of institution that if they notice that any staff who shows interest is affiliated to any political party or has openly expressed preference to any political party, that person should not be part of the ad hoc staff that we're going to get. And that has worked well for us. And that's why, you know, those control measures are very, very necessary. So, you know, like I said, these are things we have taken care of. And I want to assure Nigerians that we are not going to bring in members of any political party to be part of the process. And another thing I want to emphasize is that the measures we have in place as an electoral management body, nobody can rig election in this country today.
Wow. All right, that's a good statement. It's quite assuring. But let me take you back to the issue of PVCs. Now, we expect that any PVC that is cloned or that is fake will not be recognized by the machine, like you have said. But in a situation where anyone comes with that kind of a PVC, but his name is in the register, we understand that the polling officers have a lot of discretion and has a lot of leverage. How do you handle a situation like that?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't seem to be hearing you very well, but okay. What I would just say about the issue of PVC is this. If your PVC is issued by INEC, it will be read correctly by the smart card reader. That is the basic thing. We are very sure of that. If you attempt to bring a cloned PVC, the smart card reader will find you out and you risk being arrested because that's an electoral offense. And there is nobody that will be allowed to vote if that person is not on the register. Remember, we have the National Register of Voters. And when you come to the correct polling unit and you bring your PVC, we cross-check it, you go through the authentication, verification, and confirmation. Then we check our manual voter register and you are there. The details are exactly the same as you have on the PVC. There will be no issue. But sometimes you have a voter going to the wrong polling unit. And if we discover that, we will politely tell the voter, this is not your polling unit, go to the correct polling unit. But if you don't have your PVC or you are not on the voter register, you cannot vote.
Okay. The issue of food vendors, there's a plan by the political class or politicians to use the food vendors actually to do the vote buying. Of course, the INEC chairman himself was the one who raised this issue with EU observers who are now on ground. What exactly is INEC putting in place to ensure that this does not happen?
Well, you know, if we are laying out our strategy for dealing with serious problems like that, you can be sure that those who are planning to do it are listening, and they will also ensure that we don't succeed. It was a hint that the INEC chairman gave those who are engaging in that act. That look, we have discovered what you are trying to do. Just stop it. Like I said, you know there's a new sheriff in town in the police hierarchy. And this is somebody that is highly professional. And I was very encouraged because I was part of the delegation that went to the police headquarters about what he said. And honestly, I think that Nigerians are in for a different experience this time in this general election. As far as we are concerned, if you try to engage in vote buying on election day, you are going to have a lot of problems because the law enforcement agencies are waiting to arrest you. So my advice is that those who are planning to engage in it to have a rethink, because whatever method you want to use, whether you want to use food vendors or you want to use the normal method that has been used before, please desist from it. Allow Nigerians to vote freely according to their conscience, according to their preference, according to their conviction.
All right. Before we let you go, one other issue that has generated much of controversy and concern maybe amongst Nigerians is the issue of Amina Zakari, where even though INEC has come out to say that she won't be holding sensitive position as to favoring or influencing the outcome of results and counting, but Nigerians still feel that something drastic should be done about the position she has been given in the latest committee she's supposed to head.
Well, let me say something. I'm a social media person. And if anybody gives the impression that Nigerians want Mrs. Amina Zakari, that's not true. I monitor the social media. Of course, you have difference of opinion. But let's just look at this thing critically. First, Mrs. Zakari is a national commissioner with the Independent National Electoral Commission. She was appointed through a process. That process is enshrined in the constitution of this country. We have 12 national commissioners, and we have resident electoral commissioners in all the states of the Federation. They were appointed through a process. And the process of removing any of them is also enshrined in the Constitution. So people need to pay attention to that. Now, INEC does not have the power to remove a national commissioner. Okay, so people are focusing on the wrong issues. And we have said something. And then, on the part of INEC, INEC has the power to assign any of its appointees to play specific roles. Okay, it's an internal thing. We don't get orders from outside or from political parties.
Yes,
on who to appoint to where.
Yeah, but Rotimi, what you have said is basically factual. But in a situation where Nigerians feel that any member of INEC who has been in the system over the years has one or two or feel or there's a perception that he has an affiliation to one of the candidates who has an interest in the party, is it not incumbent or moral grounds to INEC to allay the fears of all Nigerians?
Two things there. Number one, the question is, why do they want Mrs. Zakari out? Because they think she can rig the election. And that is a wrong notion. I have said it again and again. Today's INEC, it is not possible for one individual or any group of individuals to rig the 2019 general election. It is, if you know the multiple layers of checks and balances and control, it is simply impossible. Okay? And the collation center that we are talking about.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Rotimi Oyekomi, press secretary to INEC chairman. Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, time is fast spent, not enough time to look at campaign funding and all of that. There'll be more time to discuss other issues as it affects INEC's preparedness for the 2019 election.